All right, so in this presentation, we're going to be talking about ionized hydrogen water. So today, we're going to go over the science of why people achieve better health from drinking it, and what you can expect if you and your family ever get the privilege of drinking it yourselves, okay? So in this presentation, I want to teach you some of the biggest problems with our drinking water today, why it is important that people look at filtration systems and water ionizers and all these kinds of things, and what we have to do in order to correct what has been done to our modern drinking water. Because if you look into it, I just have this belief, like, once people really realize how terrible the water is that we're all drinking and being offered to drink, water filtration systems, ionizers, all these things that we talk about, like, it's going to be just as popular as a flippin' microwave. Next, I want to talk about why the water you're drinking right now could be adding to your sickness and pain. Water goes as one of the probably most underrated elements when it comes to health, I think, in our modern world. As soon as somebody gets sick or they get a pain in their body or they get a condition or a syndrome or a disorder or whatever it is, almost never do people think to look at their water or the quality of their water. But we're 75% water, and it's super, super important. So I can tell you right now that if you are drinking modern water, bottled water, tap water, most of the common filtration systems today that don't really work as well as they're maybe advertised to, then you definitely could be having a part of your sickness and a part of your pain being contributed by the water that you're drinking. And hopefully we're going to get enough into it today to explain all that. But lastly, I really want to take some time and I want to talk about exactly why it is that we use ionized hydrogen water, why we're such big fans of ionizers in the first place, and how we use them to help our clients, and why all of our clients are getting all these awesome results, and why I've been drinking it with my whole family for about 12 years, and I've never drank anything else afterward, okay? I've dedicated my life to health and fitness and helping the world be free from sickness and improve their health and improve their longevity and all these kinds of things. So I like to think I'm fairly well researched on the topic. And like I said, I have not drank anything else for well over 10 years. And there's a really, really important reason for that. Okay. And my job today is I want to explain things well enough and simply enough to all of you guys watching so that hopefully you can see what I see. And you get some answers to your problems, because if you've never looked into this kind of stuff before, then I think you're in for a real treat. All right. So first of all, before we really get into anything, for any of you guys that don't know us, don't know about our company, Elite Dynamic Life, you don't know my dad, you don't know me, you don't know my wife, we are a family-run holistic health and fitness company, okay? My dad started all this stuff off a little over 30 years ago, and because of everything that he's learned and all the stuff that he's taught me and that we've taught my wife and all of our clients that we've got to work with over this time, my dad's not been sick in 27 years, okay? Literally not once. I haven't been sick in 24 years, and my wife, just to prove that it's not anything weird in all of her DNA, she's not been sick in 7 years, and that's since the day that we met, all right? So this stuff works. It doesn't just work for us. It can work for you. It can work for your family. It can work for anybody who will apply these things, because the principles of nature, the principles of the body, and the holistic principles that we follow around health, they don't change. They haven't for a long, long time, and I don't see them changing anytime soon. And that's part of the reason why they work, because they're consistent and they're simple enough that if you follow them, you will see exactly why we're so passionate about this stuff, because you'll be able to feel it, not just have to take our word for it. Okay. But in that time of my whole career, since I was about 15, and my dad's career, like I said, for about the last 3 decades or so, we've seen so many miracles happen inside of people. Okay. Practically every kind of health problem that you can think of, I've had the privilege with my own eyes of seeing be reversed inside of the body. Okay. I've seen hardworking, dedicated people that just did not give up on the fight, and they got a diagnosis and they were able to beat it and reverse it. I'm not going to tell you that we cured them or helped them or did anything like that. We support people and we coach people through all of their programs and things like that. But it's them doing the work, and it's their bodies doing the healing, doing the recovery, and fighting off all these battles to beat the diseases and the sicknesses and all that kind of stuff. Okay. But what I can tell you is, in my experience and through the stuff that we do, I've seen people beat all of these things and many more. We got stuff like multiple types of cancers, strokes, depression, anxiety, fibromyalgia, arthritis, multiple different kinds of gut disorders like constipation, IBS, SIBO, leaky gut, inflammatory bowel disease, a bunch of different things, okay? Pains, aches, multiple kinds of syndromes, diseases, conditions. Like I said, practically anything you can throw at the body, I've seen some form of it be reversed. Not because I'm so special, not because my dad's such a badass, but because the body that we all get to live in is absolutely amazing. And when you just get the education and you build the habits and you get the right systems in place, and you get the right support to create a lifestyle that will support your organs and your body and all of its various parts to work like they're supposed to, it just does. And that means that sickness and disease and all these aches and pains that everybody has become so accustomed to just aren't things that we really have to deal with anymore. Quality of your drinking water is one of the most important nutrients for your body, period. Like I said at the beginning, most people, when they get a sickness or a disease, they look to exercise, they go to the gym, they look at the quality of their food, they might look at supplements or go see a doctor for medications or various things like that. And that can all be cool, but most people, they ignore their water. But like we're going to go into later on, your diet is not complete without you looking at your water, because it's 75% of your body. It's a super important part of everything that your body is and everything that it can do. And if the quality of your water is poor, that will affect practically every other part of you, okay? That affects your brain, that affects your emotions, how you think, it affects you physically, all your organs and systems and parts of your body, they all depend on water. And then because your mental and your physical health massively impact how you are emotionally, the quality of your water can even affect you on an emotional level as well. Like we've seen stuff with depression and anxiety and chronic mental issues be massively improved, literally just by people correcting their water and then seeing the effects of that on their body and on their brain. Okay, so we're going to go into it more, but it's just ultimately, I'm trying to say it's really exciting stuff, and it's a really, really big deal. So hopefully you're paying attention. Hopefully you're able to take some notes. And worst case scenario, you get a lot of really, really valuable information and education out of all this. All right. So your body is primarily made of water. Okay. I think we've all heard this before. Your body's mostly water, your walking aquarium, all these kinds of things. But I want to take a second and just put this into perspective. Okay. Because your body and all of its parts, from the top of your head to the bottom of your feet, you are 75% water. Okay. If you look at your heart, I think that's a mildly important organ. I think we can all agree on that. Okay, that's 79% water. So 79% of what your heart is made up of is water. All right, I wonder if the water in your heart might be important for how well your heart can function, how strong and healthy your heart is, and ultimately how long it lasts. You know, your lungs, also mildly important, 79% water. Your eyes, your liver, your kidneys, the plasma in your blood plasma is 51% of all the blood in your body. And 99% of the plasma is water. So I wonder if your water might have a small effect on your blood and the blood viscosity and how well and easily their blood can flow throughout their body. Just that starts getting a heck of a lot better. You know, hopefully you guys are starting to see some T's being crossed and some I's being dotted, because I really, really just want to put together a picture for you guys and hopefully explain some of the things that nobody else has to before. Because if you haven't known these things yet, then it could be some pretty valuable piece of information as to why your body is feeling and performing the way that it is, right? And we want to get you feeling as healthy and young and youthful as possible and keep it that way forever, all right? Water, it's required for literally every single process that happens inside your body. I don't care if that's an electrical process, a genetic process, a cellular process, a molecular process, a mechanical process, a chemical process. Basically, every single thing that happens inside of your body would not happen without water being present in adequate amounts to allow that process to happen. Everything from your heart beating, to your eyes seeing, to your brain functioning, to you passing some gas out your butt, everything requires water inside your body, and the quality of that water, by default, affects everything else. Okay, so again, just really, 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 really important stuff. All right. And just to show you exactly what I mean by when you get it wrong, it can cause problems. Chronic dehydration is linked to more than 25 life-threatening and chronic diseases. That includes stuff like constipation, inflammation, anxiety, stress and depression, high blood pressure, diabetes, allergies, obesity, a heck of a lot more. And then right there in the center, you could see 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 different kinds of pain. And I don't know about you, but I don't think that I've met anybody in my life that didn't have at least one of these things going on. And like I said before, all of these conditions, all of these symptoms and issues and problems that you're seeing on the screen right now, we have seen with our own eyes be fixed in a person, in no small part just to them improving their water and getting more molecular hydrogen in their body, which we're going to go into more in a little bit. But I mean, guys, if nobody ever told you this stuff before, like, this was pretty shocking to me when I learned it, and I'm hoping that it's helping you realize just the severity and the importance of the stuff that we're talking about today, because your water, like, it's life, baby. Water's life. And if you don't have enough of it, then you're missing out. I'm telling you, you're missing out big time. All right. So 75% of Americans suffer from chronic dehydration, according to doctors. That is based on multiple articles, but the source that we pulled here was from Medical Daily. Okay, so if the medical community is openly admitting that 75% of Americans suffer from chronic dehydration, that means that 2 out of 3 people potentially have one of these problems going on, mostly because they're dehydrated, because they're either not drinking enough water or the water that they're drinking just does not have the correct properties to hydrate their body properly. An unregulated industry. That is the best description I can give you for water, and the water that we have access to today. Okay, between the disgusting water plants, if you ever go to one, you'll know what I'm talking about, the bottled water companies that we have, the marketing companies that use all these fancy terms and slogans, and literally every single person on the planet needs it, and it's really hard to manage anything when you're involving 8 billion people. It's just, unfortunately, it's one of the most unregulated industries that we have, okay? It's like trying to control air. It's very, very tough and very hard to do, and I don't wish that job on anybody, but unfortunately, as far as we're concerned and as far as our health is concerned, it's just something that we have to be aware of, okay? And if you don't know, not all water is created equal, okay? We have various different options for water that people drink. We got tap water, bottled water, reverse osmosis, distilled, well, quote-unquote alkaline water, and many, many other types of water and different brand names and different marketing slogans and all these kinds of things. But in our testing and in our experience, what we find is that almost all of these various kinds of waters have problems associated with them. And now, nothing's perfect. I'm not going to sit here and say that ionized hydrogen water is perfect either. I'm just going to tell you that it has the least problems of anything that I'm aware of. And to me, that's a good thing, right? So tap water, reverse osmosis, well water, all these things, we've seen them to be oxidizing inside the body. We've seen them to be filled up with microplastics. We've seen them to deplete minerals inside the body. We've seen them to load people up with heavy metals. We've seen them to be polluted with toxic chemicals. We've seen them to even be acid forming, to the point where we've tested quote-unquote alkaline bottled water. And when you remove the alkaline substances that they've added in order to make it test alkaline, you actually see that the water itself on a base level is acidic. It's pretty crazy. And if you don't believe me, you can just run this test yourself. Go to your local supermarket, buy any standard 9.5 bottled water you want to, get a straw, could be plastic, paper, doesn't really matter to me, and you blow air from your lungs into that glass of water, make a bunch of bubbles, and you can see the color of the pH test literally change before your eyes, because it's not true alkaline water. It's just water with an alkaline thing added to it. And that's not necessarily going to do anything for our health, unfortunately. We're going to go into that more later too, okay? But water, it needs to have certain properties that are required for it to do its job inside of us, okay? So most people think that when you just drink water, that means that you're hydrating. That is not true. That is just one part of the hydration equation. All right. So water needs to have adequate levels of minerals, ionic minerals like calcium and zinc and various things like that. It needs to have a good voltage. Okay. If water does not have the correct voltage, then what you'll see is that the electrostatic charge that is surrounding all of our water molecules that make up water, they are not separated enough and they start to clump together. If you think of it like a grape cluster, the grape cluster is really, really big, and we want to pick off all those grapes and have them sort of suspended in the air. So that way, we're trying to force less water at one time through our cell membrane so we can get more water on the inside of our cells. Okay, I'm going to have a little bit of a diagram to explain this better afterward, but that's the general gist of it. You want water to have a very high negative charge, like it does when it comes out of in nature before water's been polluted by mankind, because the earth is a ginormous ionizer. It was the first one ever invented. And so water outside in nature naturally has a lot of electricity in it because it has those minerals. Those minerals hold on to negative ions from the earth, and then those negative ions get supplied into our body, and that gives us a charge and allows all the minerals in the water to do its job inside of us, because everything in the body is electrical, first and foremost, okay? And then assuming we have good minerals and assuming that it has electricity in it, so it's actually living water, there's life to it, then we need to make sure it has the correct purity. It means not to have a bunch of chlorine and fluoride and PFAS and forever chemicals and VOCs and POPs and EDCs and all the thousands of categories of things that we don't want in our water because we don't want them in our body. And if you get all these things right, if it has good minerals, if it's got a good voltage and it's got good purity, then you're looking at some pretty awesome stuff. And all of these categories get handled when you pair a badass filtration system and an ionizer together. Like I said at the beginning, it's probably the closest thing, not probably, it's definitely the closest thing that we've ever found to resemble the water that people would have drank in a few hundred years ago, okay? And that's why we love it so much, because we're not trying to engineer water, we're not trying to upgrade it or improve it, we're just trying to undo all the crazy things that we've done to it as people, so that way it does more for our health and less for our sickness. Clean water needs to be drank daily in healthy amounts to supply minerals and increase/conduct bioelectricity inside the body. That is the description of water and what it's supposed to do inside of you and the process of hydration. Clean water that supplies minerals and increases/conducts bioelectricity inside of your body, okay? And we're going to go into this more later, but if you get water that can do this because the properties are correct, then you're winning, period. And if you don't have water that can do this, then unfortunately, you're just not going to be hydrated like you should be, and there will always be a risk of problems being manifested in your body because of that. Because again, water, it's like oxygen. You need it. And if it's not good air or clean water, then you're leaving a lot of room for improvement on the table. All right. So here are 6 reasons why we should never drink from the tap water. So we got chlorine. Everybody thinks chlorine's good because it kills bacteria, but it's too good in which it kills all the good beneficial bacteria inside your body as well. And that leads to a suppressed immune system, poor digestion, fatigue, brain fog, a bunch of different problems. So I personally am not a fan of chlorine. I just have not seen it do anything good for people. So I don't really like it too much. We got fluoride, hexavalent chromium, heavy metals, arsenic, pharmaceutical drugs, tons and tons of things that have the potential to be very, very toxic. I mean, just look at hexavalent chromium, okay? It is a probable human carcinogen that can result in reproductive harm and severely damage the liver and kidneys and bring about eye and respiratory irritation. All right, that's crazy. You read that description and you're like, why the heck is that in our water? Again, like I said, it's a very, very massive industry, and it's super hard to regulate everything properly. So we have stuff that we don't want in our water, and it's unfortunate. But thankfully, there's answers and there's things that we can do to fix it, right? And that's what we're talking about today. Okay, you got pharmaceutical drugs. You know, for example, did you know that most tap water, it actually can be recycled about 5 to 7 times in your public water supply before it's actually discarded completely, which is a very scary thought to think about. But that means that, unfortunately, you could be drinking tap water or showering in tap water or washing your dishes with tap water, and it may have potentially passed through multiple other people before it got to your home. Me? That seems pretty nuts. But unfortunately, it's the truth. And if you want to, you can go look it up with any of your public water distribution places and companies that manage the quality of your water in your area or your town or your county or your city or your province, and look into it for yourself. Hopefully, your situation's not that bad, but that is pretty much the average from what we can tell. And that means that things that are in other people pass back into the water and then get back into you because they've passed through other people. And it's just kind of crazy. And it is really not a good thing. But like I said, there's something we can do about it. And that's what we're talking about today. All right. So tap water. You can look at the tap water in New York. All right. This serves about almost 9 million people as of the last time that we checked. They found 16 total different contaminants. And you could look at something here like haloacetic acids, which have potential cancer-causing effects. And those things are 361 times EWG's health guideline. And they found that in our water. I mean, that's just ridiculous. That's just one of the 16 different contaminants. That seems pretty crazy to me. Okay, you got a city like Los Angeles, almost 4 million people. All right, arsenic. Everybody's heard of arsenic before, I hope. Okay, another potential cancer-causing thing. And that's 520 times the recommended guidelines. So not that this is supposed to scare you or, kind of motivate you to buy out of fear or anything like that, but it's just we have to be aware of the problems, because if you're not aware, then you're never going to do nothing about it. And unfortunately, that's going to lead to issues. And we want to fix those issues before they even become a thing in the first place, So another one, lead. Lead is in almost all public water that we've ever tested, all the way across Canada, all the way across the United States. And if you guys ever heard of the situation down in Flint, Michigan, you understand that lead poisoning can be a real problem because it hurt the lives of thousands and thousands and thousands and thousands of people, right? You got lead. You got a city up in Montreal with 7.3 parts per billion, okay? We have determined that there is no safe levels of lead. But we're still seeing high numbers, all the way up to 31 parts per billion over in Saskatoon, or 10.1 in Prince Rupert, or 12.8 in Regina. This was a study done by Concordia Institute where they tested the tap water all the way across Canada, coast to coast, for lead levels, and they found that due to our old plumbing systems and our infrastructure with all these lead pipings, people are getting exposed to lead levels higher than safe almost in every city across the country. I can tell you right now, it's not really any different down in the States. So just some symptoms of lead poisoning if you don't know what that is. Okay, it can cause developmental delay, learning difficulties, irritability, loss of appetite, weight loss, sluggishness and fatigue, vomiting, constipation, seizures. It can cause problems in newborns. It can cause problems in adults and children. It can cause problems all the way across the board. And another one, biosludge. So toxic waste gets built up every time that we filter water because there is so much stuff in our water. And the filtration that we have in our public cities and water distribution centers are so good at filtering. They take everything out, all the good stuff, but also all the bad stuff too, okay? And that stuff builds up and becomes toxic waste. And that toxic waste has been called biosludge. Now, biosludge, because it is very high in some elements that we can sort of, in a way, classify as nutrients, nitrites and nitrates and various things like that, it gets stored in these massive tanks because it's super tough to get rid of. If you look into it, it's an extremely expensive process. And most people and most companies just don't want to pay to do all that kind of stuff. So they store it, and then once they realize that they can't store it forever, they decided to sell it as fertilizer because they needed a way to get rid of it. And so all this terrible stuff filled with endless amounts of forever chemicals and heavy metals and just all the garbage that we don't want in our water gets sprayed on our soil, on our crops, on our farm, and then that gets grown and stuffed into the vegetables and the fruits and the produce that we eat, and then also gets stuffed into the animals that eat the stuff that grows off the ground where this stuff gets sprayed. And then it gets consumed by us, and then it goes back into the water, and it just becomes this endless cycle of increased toxicity and waste and disgustingness, because this stuff is nasty. And if you don't take my word for it, please go look into this for yourselves, and you can see everything that I'm talking about. And the more you learn and the more you research, the more you know, the more you're like, oh my God, I don't want to drink water ever again. But again, thankfully, there's a solution to all this kind of stuff. All right. So biosolids is a toxic sludge that contains varied amounts of PFAS, aka forever chemicals. We call them forever chemicals because we don't know when they will deteriorate. A lot of the chemicals that we've discovered or invented, we can't even determine their half-life, which means that we don't even know when they're going to be deteriorated up to 50%. And so that means that all these chemicals, whatever they are, I can promise you right now, they're probably going to outlast me and maybe even my kids. And that's a scary thought because I don't even have kids yet. And I'm just looking and seeing the world and how polluted it's becoming. And I just makes me all that more motivated to learn everything that I possibly can about health and longevity and protecting my family from all these crazy things. And then as a benefit of that, getting to share all that with you guys, because I think every family should be protected and every single person should have health readily accessible to them. And so that's what we're here for. That's what we're doing. And that's why we're talking about ionized hydrogen water, because the stuff's awesome. And this biosolid stuff is not awesome. And we want to fix that ASAP. All right. So the most commonly reported symptoms were sore eyes, sore throat, sore nose, irritations and gastrointestinal problems, aka nausea, vomiting, diarrhea. But other symptoms have been reported by more than one instance. That can include coughing, difficulty breathing, sinus congestion or drainage, and skin infections or sores. And again, these are just the very surface level issues, okay? Biosolids and all the forever chemicals and all the heavy metals and all the EDCs and the chemicals that emulate hormones and all the pharmaceuticals and all the crazy things that we have in our water, they can all compound and they can lead to various more intense conditions. And hopefully we can catch that before it becomes a problem in you. And that's why, again, like I said, we're trying to share this education with people so that way they can do something about it, okay? And you're thinking, oh, well, I drink bottled water, so all this stuff in tap water, it's not a problem to me. I got news for you, pal, and I'm sorry to say, but microplastics, they've been found in over 93% of all the world's most popular bottled water brands. And microplastics, if you don't know, they are little tiny particles of plastic that get lodged inside of our body, and because they are a synthetic engineered chemical composition, it's very, very hard for our body to eliminate them. And so a lot of the times what happens is they will build up and they will accumulate in us, and they will leach plastic chemicals inside of our body, and they will take up extra space that our blood and our cells and our everything else is supposed to go. And that can cause a lot of problems, okay? If you're a man like me, or even a woman, women, need to make sure about this stuff too. But if you're a man like me, one of the big ones that we got to be concerned of is the various EDC, endocrine disrupting chemicals that we've found in microplastics, because they can mimic the effects of estrogen inside of our body. And when your estrogen levels get all out of whack and all messed up because you got a bunch of chemicals inside your body that's affecting how estrogen works inside of you, that means your testosterone's getting all out of whack. And I can tell you right now, I can't say for sure, I can't not say either, but all these microplastics and all this stuff that we're getting exposed to us is in no small part of the reason why men today, my age, have the average testosterone levels of men that are well over double their age just a few decades ago, 1970, 1960. Our grandparents had higher testosterone levels than we do today, and that to me is a problem, because I don't see the trend getting better anytime soon on any of the graphs that we're looking at, okay? So in a recent study that was done by German researchers, nearly 25,000 different chemicals were found lurking inside of a single bottle of water, just from the plastic that the bottle was made from, okay? Many of these chemicals mimic the effects of potent pharmaceuticals inside our body, and according to the study published in the Journal of the Public Library of Science, the bottled waters include two classes of chemicals, maleates and fumarates, which are known to be potent endocrine disrupting chemicals. Okay, that means that they're hormonally active, which means that these chemicals can mimic the effects, like I said, of various hormones. And as far as the dude's concerned, one of the big ones we want to look at is the levels of estrogen, because that's going to affect our testosterone. And there's over 50 billion bottles of water that are purchased every single year just in the United States alone. So like I said, it's a massive industry. And there's a lot of money being made. And then because of all that plastic being made, there's now 5.25 trillion macro and micro pieces of plastic in our ocean, and 46,000 pieces in every square mile of ocean, weighing up to 269,000 tons. That's pretty crazy. Can you imagine if the world got a hold of this information like we all did with those plastic straws to save the turtles? I mean, imagine what kind of effects all these chemicals are having to the oceans that are on our planet. The ocean, it's said to be Earth's life support system. It controls our weather patterns. It controls so many different things across our planet. And without the ocean, life would not exist. And 97% of the world's water is held by the ocean. So again, pretty important thing. And it's the number one protein source to over 1 billion people on the planet, right? So imagine what happens when the water systems and the ecosystems that we have inside of the ocean start to deteriorate to the point where it can no longer support healthy sea life, healthy fish, healthy weather patterns, all these things. Plastic is becoming a really big problem for the planet, but also for our bodies. And just to wrap this all up, there's more than 24,500 chemicals found in bottled water. These are all snippets and screenshots of various studies and articles you guys can all go up and look up for yourselves. So you don't have to take my word for it. Do your own research and look and see if the stuff that we're sharing today is the truth or not, and you could find out for yourself. You guys are here because you guys are getting access to this information and you're watching this video right now. You can all do something about it, okay? And that's a beautiful thing. Any dietary recipe cannot be a scientific one if the property of water taken by the patient is not taken into account. Okay, this was a quote taken from some amazing studies by Dr. Hayashi and Dr. Kawamura. They're some amazing Japanese doctors and scientists, and they study a lot about health and the water and on various things that inside the body. And I saw this and I was like, this is exactly what the world needs to know, because so many people, they go on diets and they go on crash diets and they go, I'm keto, I'm vegan, they do all these things, they cut calories, they increase protein, they do various different things with their food, but they get stuck on that, I am what I eat, not I am what I consume. And your water is such a massive part to make any diet work. I don't care what it is. It could be a carnivore, it could be vegan, it could be anything in between. If your water is not taken into account, then you are missing out on a big part of your nutrition, okay? And so anytime anybody tells you to look at your food and doesn't also tell you to look at your water, just know there's something missing from that, and it could be better, all right? So I want to go into some more different explanations for concepts and various things on why ionized hydrogen water in particular is such an amazing thing and what we can use it for to solve all these problems that I just talked about earlier in the presentation. All right, so you guys have probably all heard about alkaline water. I want to tell you today that there's a difference between something being alkaline and something being alkalizing, alkaline forming. Okay, just like there's a difference between something being acidic and acid forming, acidifying inside the body. They're two different words, two different concepts, and they mean various different things. So I'm going to explain this in as simple terms as I possibly can, okay? You guys have all probably seen 9.5 bottled alkaline water, 8.0 alkaline water all day long. It's become a very, very popular trend, kind of like gluten-free, kind of like low sugar, kind of like low fat. But again, it's just a piece of the puzzle. It's not the entire thing. So I can take a can of Coca-Cola. Okay, you're probably wondering, like, why the heck does this guy have Coca-Cola right next to a bottled alkaline water? And that's because I can take Coca-Cola and I can dump in a bunch of baking soda. I'll admit it'll take a lot, but if I dump in enough baking soda, I can run a pH test on Coca-Cola, and that can make it test 8.0, 9.0, 9.5, 10.0, whatever pH I want it to. If I dump enough baking soda in there, I can make Coca-Cola test alkaline all day long. But that has no direct result on how Coca-Cola is going to affect your pH after you drink it. It's still going to be acid forming. It's still not going to be healthy. It's still going to be loaded with a bunch of sugar and corn syrup and all these crazy things that they put in Coke these days. And so just because I can fool a pH test does not mean that that shows me how that food or how that fluid will affect the pH balance of my body. And what we're looking at with ionized hydrogen water is because the various properties that make the water so amazing actually have alkalizing effects, which means that they are not just alkaline, but because of their alkalizing effects, they can affect the pH of your body, which makes that automatically it's going to test out as alkaline. But most importantly is that it can affect your pH and positively improve your pH and neutralize excess acid and help you really reach a more alkaline balance. Because after you drink it, it will give those properties to you. And so the way that I can kind of compare that to is sort of like a lemon. Most of you guys, if you ever looked into the pH balance, alkalinity, acidity, that kind of thing, you've probably heard that lemons, for example, and various citrus fruits are alkalizing to the body. They're alkaline forming inside the body. But then you look at it and you're like, okay, well, it's citric acid. It's acidic. If I take some lemon juice and put it on an open cut, it burns because of the acid in there. So how can something acid make my body alkaline? And that is because as the various elements that make up citric acid get metabolized inside the body, those individual components become alkaline forming, which means that they boost up and increase the pH of your body. Okay? Ionized hydrogen water acts the same way. Same thing with stuff like cilantro and parsley and spinach and various foods and fluids that we know to be alkaline forming inside the body. That is what I'm looking at when I'm talking about alkaline water, not just the fact that it tests alkaline, but the fact that it can boost up and improve our pH balance after we consume it. That is the difference between alkaline and alkalizing. Okay, hopefully that made enough sense. All right. So if you've never heard before, your body is constantly trying to regulate its pH balance. Okay, there's various pH levels that are supposed to be optimal in all various parts of your body, your blood, your organs, different systems and everything. Your blood, for example, is supposed to be 7.4, 7.36 something. And that's what level you want to maintain. And constantly your body is trying to regulate its own pH balance. Now, because of the various things that we have been exposed to in our modern world, in our lifestyle, with our food and our water and our air and our environments and the people that we spend time with, there are way, way, way more things in our lives that we come into contact with that want to pull our pH down, that become acid forming in the body, that produce and generate excess acid inside of our system. Way more than there is anything that's going to improve our pH and promote alkalinity inside the body. Okay, and so on either level, if you get too acidic or if you get too alkaline, that is going to produce sickness and malfunction inside the body. So we want to maintain a good, healthy balance, okay? And so you've probably heard some people that talk about alkaline water and they talk about, you drink this and it's going to increase your pH and it's going to make you super impervious to sickness and blah, 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 and all that kind of stuff. And that is partially true in a way, but the real evidence that we have and the stuff that we're actually trying to do with alkaline water is not so much that because you drink alkaline water, your pH just automatically goes up in every part of your body. That's just not how it works. But what drinking alkalizing water will do is it will neutralize a lot of the excess acid in your body that is artificially dragging your pH down. And so that means that it's much easier for your own body to regulate its own pH level because we have an alkaline forming thing combating the acid forming thing, and not so much of the work is just on your body alone. We're adding in more alkaline forming foods and fluids into our lifestyle to counteract the acid forming things that we're just exposed to all the time, So that way your body has a much more even fight on both sides of the alkalinity and the pH scale, and it can bring it into a good, healthy balance without fighting so hard and without having to do crazy stuff like pull alkaline minerals from your bones and your connective tissue just to neutralize some acid because you had a can of Coke or you ate a bunch of McDonald's burgers or whatever it is, okay? And so when you drink alkaline water, it's not that it's going to magically bring up your pH and make you impervious to sickness. It is just going to make it way easier on your body to manage its own pH level because we have something that is coming in from the outside that you can drink unlimited amounts of that can neutralize most of the excess acid that you get exposed to, that you have with poor diet, with poor lifestyle choices, with environmental issues, whatever it is that's causing the acid. The alkalinity of the water can come in and neutralize that for your body. Molecular hydrogen is literally the single most studied molecule on the whole flippin' earth. You can go onto a database like PubMed, you can type in molecular hydrogen, and you can see from this screenshot, and you'll see over 770,000 results. That means that there's over 770,000 articles and studies referencing molecular hydrogen. And through the process of ionization, molecular hydrogen gets loaded into your drinking water. And that is phenomenal because molecular hydrogen has so many benefits to the body. I literally cannot fit all of them on this slide, so these are just the ones that we picked and chose to be the most important and the ones that you guys might find the coolest. But it does so many things, okay? It's a super potent antioxidant, which means it can neutralize free radicals. It's radioprotective, which means that it can protect you from radiation damage to your cells. I mean, that's just mind-blowing. It's anti-apoptosis, which means it can help protect your cells from dying prematurely. It can protect your DNA from damage. It can increase gene expression, which means that you can literally help your genetics work better and more efficiently, okay? It's anti-inflammatory. It increases molecule signaling. This stuff is literally a miracle gas. It's phenomenal. And one of the amazing things that allows the ionized water to work so well is because of the delivery system of water, being that that's the way that the hydrogen gets into your body. You can consume a lot of it at one time, and it's very, very, very low risk of hurting you. It's almost impossible for you to consume too much of this hydrogen gas because any excess that you consume, any excess that you drink, any more that gets into your body than what you could actually handle and use, it's so small because it's a little tiny molecule and it's in a gaseous form, it can literally evaporate through your skin. And that makes it safe for kids, for pregnant ladies, for anybody who's sensitive to these kinds of things. It kind of gives you the best bang for your buck, which is super important if you're in a situation where, you know, you really need results very quickly because your health is deteriorating rapidly. That's just one more reason why we love this stuff so much, because it works for everybody. It's awesome. Okay, and so introducing the specific ionizer that we love, really the only one that we'll put our names behind. Our family has about 6 of them, and we've sold hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of these machines to our clients and our friends and our family and businesses and all this kind of stuff. And we've only done that because 1, it works. Otherwise, people would stop buying. And 2, because we believe in it, and we believe in it wholeheartedly. And that's why I'm willing to spend, you know, over an hour with you guys going through presentation just to try to help you understand what it is and why it's so awesome. Because I believe everybody on earth should get a chance to learn about this kind of stuff and hopefully all have the privilege of drinking it because it will help you. It's just that simple. It will help you. Okay. So really quickly, there's 5 different kinds of water, and we're going to go into a more specific on each of them. That you can make and generate when you get one of these ionizers from an addict, okay? From your 8.5 to your 9.5 pH level, you get hydrogen-rich drinking water, and this stuff is phenomenal. It's the bee's knees. It's what you're going to be using the most of anything here, and it's what's going to be doing the brunt of your work against fighting sickness, and this stuff is just awesome, okay? You got your 7 pH, which is neutral water, which is the stuff you drink if you were taking medications, or you want to give it to your pets, or you want to give it to like a newborn, or anybody that, you know, might be in a very sensitive situation with their body. You start them on the 7 pH water, and you can build them up over time. So again, it's just super, super safe, okay? You have your 6 pH beauty water. They call it beauty water because 6 pH, it's the closest that we can get to the pH of your skin. So you can use that stuff to replace various toners and makeup removers and tons of different beauty products that most people spend way too much money on. And it just does nothing besides poison you at the end of the day, because anything you put on your skin is eventually going to get into your bloodstream. And that means that it's inside your body, and it has the potential to either help you or harm you But most of the time, makeups don't really have anything in them that can help you. So it's just the harm part, and that kind of sucks. You have your 2.5 super acidic, strong acid water. And this stuff is awesome. We're going to go into that in a minute. But this can sterilize your entire home, practically every surface in your home, and it can kill the infections, the bacteria, the fungus. It can sterilize and sanitize everything in there. And it does it with 0 chemicals. So there's no chance that it can harm you or your children or your pets or anybody in the home, regardless of how chemical sensitive they are, because there are no chemicals. It's just a super strong acidic pH, and so it just kills bad bacteria like crazy, okay? And then finally, we have our 11.5 pH strong alkaline water. This stuff is super cool because you can use it to clean your produce and pull pesticides off your food, out of your food. You can use it to remove oil stains, and you can do a lot of stuff with this, okay? But basically, what I'm trying to say is that when you get yourself a medical grade ionizer, like the ones that Enagic makes, you get a heck of a lot more than just drinking water. But most importantly, you get something that is going to last you 15 to 20 years on minimum, and it's just going to do so much for you. I mean, honestly, I would pay 50 grand if I had to get one of these things after I've drank it and I've got to see what it does for me and my body and my family and my wife and our home and everything. Okay. So next, why did we choose Enagic? We chose Enagic because, one, these guys were the first. They're the OGs, okay? They've been around for about almost 50 years now, okay? And these guys are the ones that make, honestly, just the best equipment. It's that simple. Nobody else is an OEM manufacturer. Nobody else makes all their own parts. Nobody else uses the medical grade materials that these guys do. Nobody else has the kind of customer service that these guys do. And most importantly, nobody else is just willing to put in the money into the R&D, into the manufacturing, into the actual materials that are used to make these ionizers to the level that we're happy with outside of these guys. Nobody else is doing it. So until something else comes along that's better, we're going to be promoting these guys for as long as we can because they just make it the best, okay? They make the Ferrari, they make the McLaren, they make the Mercedes-Benz of ionizers, and if you're willing to spend thousands of dollars on something that can do all these things for you, there's no point in cheaping out because we're talking about your health, we're talking about the longevity of you and your family, and to me, I just don't see how cheaping out and buying something that won't really do what it's supposed to for you is ever going to be worth it, okay? So these guys, they're the bee's knees, they're the cat's meow, and they make the best stuff. That's why we love them so much, right? So they make medical grade water ionization machines, okay? So this means that you can literally use these ionizers for medical use. They have certificates and qualifications coming out every part of themselves. These guys are the most qualified. They have the most awards. They have been around the longest, and they just have the highest level of quality control. And they make the best ionizers. You know, I don't have a better way to say it. And if you do enough research like we have, you'll find that there's not really anybody else that can touch what they can do as far as quality control and guarantees and promises, and just knowing that the stuff that you're buying, it's not overpriced and it's not, just jacked up because of a high brand market or something like that. It's charged to what it is because of the work and the blood and the sweat and the tears and the quality that's put into it, right? And so how did Enagic start, and how did this whole idea of hydrogen-rich water begin? Well, it started with all these various miracle water spots being found around the planet, like in Okinawa, Japan, in the Hunza Valley, in Lourdes, France, and all these places where people would go to get super clean water and take baths and hope that it's going to heal their legs and broken bones and all these kinds of things. And scientists, when they studied these places, one thing that they found was that all of them were super rich in molecular hydrogen through the process of the pressure and the ionization of the earth and everything coming out from these fresh underwater geysers and all that kind of stuff. All these waters were loaded with molecular hydrogen. And so in studying that, they found that it's one of the biggest reasons why all these waters are so known around the world and why they provide so much healing to people and why they're superior to other forms of water, all right? And so what happens is you take this water and it gets shoved through this membrane, and this membrane also loads the water up with a bunch of electrolysis, a bunch of electricity. And through that process of electrolysis, the water gets split into two separate streams. One stream that we drink from that has lots of negative ions and has been filtered and clean and has tons of hydrogen gas inside of it. And then another stream with all of the oxidants, with all the acid-forming things that we do not want to drink, and that gets separated and split into a stream that we don't ever touch. And so we filter our water with water filtration systems, out of the counter units, whole home units, all these kinds of things. But then we also, through the process of ionization, filter our water electrically. And that gets things that chemical filtration and hard material filtration just will never, ever get, because how can you filter out free radicals with some charcoal or with some sediment? You can't do it. So we filter our water with electricity, and that's the basis of ionization, all right? As you can see here, there's tons of various athletes and celebrities and just super, super, super well-known people with buckets and buckets and buckets of money and access to the greatest minds as far as health and fitness and longevity is concerned. And all these folks here, you can see like Bob Marley, Leonardo DiCaprio, Floyd Mayweather, Manny Pacquiao, Conor McGregor, LeBron James, Brad Pitt, Donald Trump, a bunch of people that have access to the best of the best of the best when it comes to medical care and education on health and fitness, and they have unlimited amounts of money, and they've all bought these Enagic ionizers, and they're all drinking it, okay? The entire Seattle Seahawks football team drinks this water because it's what gives them the best performance on the field when they're going to play football, okay? And now none of these people are endorsed or sponsored by Enagic. That's just not how they run their business model. So you might never hear any of them talking about it, but if you go online, you do your research, and you look up these people, and you type in Enagic, and you type in ionized water, you can find various videos and newspaper, magazine articles, and all these kinds of things where these people are mentioning it, and they're talking about it, and they're sharing how it's helped them and made them better. The actor who played Hellboy, he talked about how this water helped him with his arthritic pain, and it got so bad to the point where he was almost going to quit acting and not make any more movies because he couldn't use his hands properly. But since he started drinking the ionized water, that pain's gone away, you know, and various stories like that, you know, just from people that are very well known and they have access to the best of the best, and they still chose this stuff because hopefully, if you haven't seen it by now, like, this stuff is the best of the best, you know, and that's why we love it so much. And so one of the things that I think everybody needs to understand is the power of antioxidants, okay? Antioxidants, in layman's terms, they protect your body from oxidation, okay? Oxidation is the result of an overabundance of free radicals inside of the body that steal electrons from you, steal electricity from you, and the byproduct of that, they lead to cellular malfunction, the deterioration of tissue inside your body, and they damage and harm your organs, okay? So in layman's terms, you can take living tissue, aka your body and your organs and your muscles and your joints and everything else, and you add oxidation to that, and that's going to lead to sickness and aging. It's just that simple. And so anything that we can do to limit the effects of oxidation is going to prolong our health, prolong our longevity, and help your body stay young and youthful and vibrant for longer, because oxidation is the opposite of all those things. And so limiting excess amounts of it is very, very, very beneficial, all right? And so that is the job of an antioxidant. It will neutralize and nullify a free radical so it cannot form oxidation inside of the body, because it supplies that free radical, which is missing an electron, with an extra electron, so that way that free radical will not steal one from you. So when we're looking at something to see whether or not it has antioxidant potential, meaning that it can neutralize either more or less free radicals, one of the things that we want to look at is something called ORP, aka oxidation reduction potential. All right, and so you can see various things on here that are known to be potent antioxidants, like oranges and green tea and cod liver oil. And you'll see that if you run their ORP, you'll see it probably has somewhere between, you know, -200, -350, -400 maybe. And those are potent enough to be known all across the world and have been used by humankind for thousands of years as an antioxidant, as a powerful anti-inflammatory, a bunch of different things that it does benefit to the body, right? But as you can see here on the far left, you have that classic ionized water machine. And we have tested water out of our own machines that go as high as above -800. That means that we're looking at something that is many, many, many times more powerful as an antioxidant than something like green tea, which is known all across the world. And then you have on the flip side stuff like Gatorade, Coca-Cola, most bottled waters, tap waters. We've seen and tested ourselves those various fluids, and with our own equipment, we've seen them have a positive ORP, meaning that they are oxidants. They have a high amount of free radicals inside of them, in which case will most likely lead to extra oxidation inside the body. We've seen them go as high as positive 750 just from tap water. I mean, that's crazy. I've seen tap water have more oxidation potential than Coca-Cola. That's just crazy if you don't see it with your own eyes. But it's the truth. I mean, I have pictures all over my phone showing you guys everything. And it's just crazy. And so when we can take the opposite of something that is oxidation inside the body and create antioxidants inside the body, it is just going to help to reverse and nullify and slow down and prevent all those issues that come from premature aging, premature disease, premature sickness, all this stuff. And the water, again, like I said, it's a huge, huge part of it just because of how potent and powerful it is inside the body, okay? And so going a little bit deeper into the various kinds of water that your machine can make you, you got 8.5 to 9.5 pH hydrogen-rich water. We have 3 different levels going from 8.5 to 9.0 to 9.5, just to give people different options depending on what they need and where they're starting from. But all of these waters are going to increase cellular hydration, again, because that electrostatic charge from the ionization inside the water is going to allow the water molecules to go deeper inside your cells, deeper inside your tissues, your soft tissue, your connective tissue, your muscles, your organs. It'll just allow it to better hydrate you, okay? It's electrically charged water, which means that it's living water. It actually is going to supply electricity to your body and energize you. I mean, I've had dozens and dozens and dozens and dozens of people drink this water in my home, at their home, wherever we meet up, where they're drinking the water. And they literally, after maybe about a liter or two, they'll start to get a head rush. They'll start to get literally a runner's high in their mind, and they can feel their brain light up with electricity. It's actually hilarious. One of my close friends, his name's Shamar. He's a 6'4" Jamaican guy. And he was jumping up and down in my kitchen for literally about 20 minutes because he had so much energy, he just could not stand still. It was awesome to watch. So shout out Shamar. Hope you're doing well, buddy. It's very, very antioxidant rich. It's highly alkalizing. It's a very, very powerful detoxifier inside the body. It will help all of your various elimination systems, from your colon to your liver to your kidneys to your skin to your lungs and even to your female reproductive parts, all to detoxify much, much better, way more regularly and much more efficiently without all the crazy symptoms that come when those organs are just not working well. Okay. And then lastly, it's real living water. It has all the properties that water is supposed to have when it comes out of the earth. So like I said, it's the closest thing that we can find to creating drinking water like our great grandparents would have had. Like I was saying with that whole cellular hydration bit. Okay. It's a concept that we like to call microclustering. Okay, and what this has to do is it's all around how much water can we actually get on the inside of our cells. Okay, so most water, because of the various things that we do to it, it is so drastically changed from how it comes in nature that you can drink a lot of water, and most of the time what you'll find is it just ends up bloating you and that makes you have to pee like crazy. But you always end up feeling thirsty afterward. You always end up with a dry mouth or cracked lips or a cracked tongue. And you have symptoms of fatigue and indigestion and all the various things that come when you're dehydrated, despite how much water you're drinking. And that's because of a concept called electrostatic charge, okay? And so all of the water molecules that we drink, they're supposed to have a high enough electrostatic charge where they actually have separation between them, okay? And you can see the difference here between this big cluster and the smaller cluster where every little bit is broken up into smaller pieces. And that's because the electrostatic charge allows all the independent molecules to vibrate at a high enough frequency where they don't latch together, sort of like our blood cells on the inside of our body. It's a very, very similar concept. And when you have a higher electrostatic charge, you can fit 1, 2, 3 molecules at a time through your cellular membrane and deeper into the soft tissue and the muscle tissue of your body and all your organs, as opposed to trying to fit 5, 10, 15, 20 molecules at a time because they're all clumped up together. And it just does not lead to something called intracellular hydration, which means the hydration on the inside of your cells, okay? And that's super important because that makes up about 60% of all the water that we're supposed to hydrate from. It's supposed to be the stuff on the inside of our cells, on the inside of our tissues. And if it's not getting on the inside, then we're never truly going to be hydrated. And that's one of the big reasons why we have everybody that drinks this water. You can drink a liter and a half. You can drink a bunch of really big glasses of water. And after about maybe 5 or 10 minutes, you'll feel that the water just instantaneously almost leaves your stomach because it doesn't lead you to be bloated. You can go on a trampoline afterward and you can bounce up and down and you don't hear all that sloshing going on because the water is actually easily absorbed enough that it can pass through your stomach lining and just get sucked right up into your body super, super quickly, as opposed to giving you that sluggish bloating feeling and you feel like you might sit down if you drink too much water and all that kind of stuff. This doesn't happen when the water has a high enough electrostatic charge, and the molecule clusters are in good form, okay? And so now moving on. The clean beauty water. This stuff is awesome. You can use it as a skin toner. You can use it as a glass cleaner. You can use it to water and hydrate all your plants. It helps with acne, eczema, and psoriasis and various other skin afflictions, okay? Because what it will do is the pH of the water naturally synchronizes and is in harmony with the pH of your skin, and it will allow you to clean your skin better without the use of a bunch of chemicals, and it will also hydrate your skin much better, so the health of your pores and your skin itself is much, much better, because if your skin gets dehydrated, that leads to wrinkles, it leads to pores that don't work properly, it leads to oil buildup and bacterial buildup and all these things. And so you can use this 6 pH water to wash your skin, wash your hair, a bunch of different things, and it replaces tons and tons and tons of different beauty products that people are used to buying now. I can tell you right now, Elle, my wife, she loves this stuff because it keeps her skin head to toe soft enough to rival any baby's bottom. A huge part because she can wash her face anytime she needs to with this water. I mean, would you rather be a raisin or a grape? You know what I'm talking about? Okay, so moving on. You got the 2.5 strong acid water, aka hypochlorous acid. Okay, that is the technical term for it. That's what you can go look up if you want to research more of this stuff on your own. But this stuff is a chemical-free sanitizer. Okay, so this will sanitize and sterilize all the surfaces in your home. It'll clean cuts and burns and wounds on your skin. It'll disinfect and kill bacteria in your body, in your home, on your countertops, on your floors, and your couches. You can use it to help with lice and stuff on your pets and your hair and your kids and everything. It's just amazing, because what we know is that this stuff is significantly more potent at killing bacteria just because of the extremely low pH level than something like chlorine, for example, which is a chemical-based sanitizer and killer of bacteria, right? This stuff works significantly better, minus all of the potential side effects that come from all the chemicals involved in normal sanitizers and cleaning products, right? So you can use this to sanitize and clean your hands, your surfaces, helps with acne, you gargle this stuff and help with the sore throat. You can use it to help wounds heal faster and reduce infection and redness and soreness, all that kind of stuff. It can even replace stuff like Lysol in your home, just due to its ability to kill bacteria like crazy. One of my favorite things to use this acid water for is I can actually use it to soak my meats and my fish and all my seafood and everything that might grow bacteria, and I can soak it in this water for just a minute or two, and it kills all the bacteria on my steak, on my beef, on my fish, on everything that I eat. So that way I know that there's no risk of any kind of a food poisoning issue going on with my food. And so like I said before, this stuff kills more bacteria and viruses than bleach. It's been approved as a medical disinfectant, sterilizer by the EPA and the FDA because of its ability to rapidly destroy bacteria, fungus, and viral pathogens. But all that stuff is extra awesome when you know that it's completely safe to use on your skin and even your eyes. You can use it with an infection like pink eye. We've even used this on infants and babies to help clear up yeast infections and diaper rashes and things like that. And it does zero to harm you and hurt you. All that it does is kill bacteria. It won't damage your skin. It won't damage your tissue. As long as you don't drink it, then it can't harm you at all. But it kills all these things that will harm you, all the bacteria, the fungus, the pathogens, all that stuff. And it does it chemical free, So we've had plenty of people that have just got one of these ionizers literally just for this, because they're so sick and tired of using all these carcinogen-based cleaning products and getting all the dyes and the crazy chemicals that they put in products these days, and just wanting a safe, clean, chemical-free home for their family. Lastly, we got this 11.5 strong alkaline water. This stuff is phenomenal. And one of the biggest things you can use this for, you'll probably end up using it every day, but you could actually soak your produce, you can soak your fruits and your vegetables and anything that you can eat that will not be ruined by water. So don't soak like bread or noodles or anything like that in there. But all your produce, your meats, all that kind of stuff, you can soak everything in there, and it will actually pull out and draw all the oil-based, all the petroleum-based pesticides and chemicals like glyphosate, atrazine, and all that kind of stuff. It'll pull out those chemicals from the surface of your food and from the inside of your food due to its high negative charge, its alkalinity, and its ability to emulsify oil. And it's really crazy. You could actually soak like just a small handful of vegetables. I did this 3 days ago. We got some cabbage, we got some carrots, and we got some red bell peppers, all organic, all grown locally in farms within, a few kilometers of the area that we live in. and we soaked it all in our food, and the chemicals that were pulled out of this produce just from being watered with city water, being exposed to all of the stuff in the air, and whatever pollution could have possibly been in the soil, we were able to turn this big ass bowl of water neon blue like it was Kool-Aid because we pulled out so many chemicals. Okay, we got pictures and videos and all this kind of stuff all over our social medias and our website and everything like that. You can all go see it if you want to for yourself. But like I said, you can literally soak your produce and you pull out so many chemicals from it that you can see actual discoloration in the water. Okay, it's bananas. And it can help break down oil stains and stuff like that in your clothes and your fabrics and your couch and everything else. Because in the same way that it will break down the pesticides and the herbicides and the insecticides that we use in our food, because most of those are all oil-based, petroleum-based chemicals, it'll break down olive oil and coconut oil and all the kind of stuff that we spill ourselves sometimes too, right? So just really, really cool stuff. But ultimately, a very, very important tool for our health and for limiting the exposure of chemicals and just crazy stuff that we don't want in our bodies from our food, okay? And so in summary, one of these ionizers can replace all these toxic expenses. We got bottled water, Windex, Tide, mouthwash, makeup remover, a bunch of different things that you can literally replace just from a one-time investment of getting an ionizer in your home. But most importantly, aside from the money, you can do it for a better option without the chemicals, without the exposure to the microplastics and the red dyes and the green dyes and the preservatives and all the crazy carcinogen-based chemicals and all that kind of stuff. And you can do it and actually spend less money overall and feel way, way, way better because you're not poisoning yourself with a bunch of stuff that you ultimately would not want in your body, right? And so hopefully all this stuff is making sense so far, but I really wanted to point this out because when you get the ionizer, it's not just for your drinking water. That's the most important part because nothing comes close to being more important than your health. But it does a whole ton extra for you too. And a lot of those things, they really, really add up and add value to your purchase and just help you do a lot of stuff on top of just feel better. They can give you a clean home without the use of chemicals and all that crazy stuff, and that, to me, that's super, super important. And for anyone who has kids or wants to have kids, I think it's important for all of you guys too. So I just really wanted to mention it because, it's awesome, And so most people today, most of our population, they end up drinking dead, recycled water that's loaded with oxidizing free radicals and tons of chemicals and pharmaceutical drugs and heavy metals and all these things. And all that stuff leads to inflammation and disease, and they have no idea. But fortunately, there are answers that we can use, and ionized hydrogen water is a big, big part of it, okay? So just in summary, just a quick list of stuff that you could actually do with your ionizer, just in case you wanted to see some dots being put together. It can better hydrate your cells, okay? It improves your sleep. You can remove oil stains. It can help you load your body with molecular hydrogen, which, like I talked about before, is a phenomenally powerful molecule that every one of us should learn more about and do what we can to try to get more of it in our bodies because this stuff is awesome. You can sterilize all your surfaces without the use of chemicals. It can improve the absorption of your supplements. It can help you heal with skin afflictions. It can relieve a sore throat. It can big time help relieve stuff like constipation and blockages inside the body. It can help to neutralize excess acid to help better balance your pH level. You can clean all the pesticides from your food. It can help improve the health of your hair and your skin. It can help with gum disease and mouth conditions like thrush and cavities and various things like that due to a lack of minerals and an imbalanced pH and an overabundance of bad bacteria. It can help improve sinus infections. It can help do a ton of things, okay? So it is your drinking water that is the main thing here. But it's not just your drinking water. That's just the tip of the iceberg. And when you end up drinking this water and you incorporate all these various kinds of waters, the 2.5 pH, the high alkaline, 11.5 pH, and you just incorporate all these different things into your lifestyle, it becomes a package that you just honestly can't live without. And I'm talking from personal experience. My family and I recently traveled for 8 days across the country, and we stayed in 8 different hotel rooms, and you can bet your bottom dollar I hooked up my ionizer in all 8 hotel rooms because there's no way that I'm driving all day long without my ionized water. It's just not possible. I will not do it on bottled water. I will not do it on tap water. RO or distilled water is not good enough for me neither. And I think that everybody, when they get a chance to drink this stuff and see how it helps them, you guys are all going to feel the same way, okay? I just want to say that we can easily based on the best available research and all the hundreds of client testimonials that we have, and over the 30 years of experience that we have between my dad and myself and my wife and our whole team. There's nothing that can come close to doing more for your family and for your health as far as your drinking water is concerned than getting one of these ionized hydrogen water machines. They are the best bang for your buck. And like I said, we've sold hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of these machines by now, and I've never had to do a single return because nobody's ever asked me to do a return, because the stuff just works. And if you can get this water and you can drink it and it actually does what I'm telling you it'll do for you and your family, and you can get all these various health benefits that I'm talking about, then like, why would you ever send it back? You know, once you've experienced better health and better sleep and lower inflammation and less oxidation in your body, and you actually feel how your brain can operate when you're hydrated, you never want to go back to dehydrated. You never want to go back to what you were doing before, because this way it just feels better, you know? But the best part is you don't have to take any of my word for any of this stuff on any of the things that we said. Do all of your own research. Look everything up that I talked about. Fact check this presentation out the yin yang. And if you do decide that you want to purchase an ionizer for yourself, just get a hold of the person that shared this video with you, get a hold of our team. Somebody somewhere will be more than happy to help you get one. And when you do, you have a money back guarantee. If you're in Canada, you got about 15 days. If you're in the States, you got about 30. And you can drink this water as much as you want to within that time. And if it doesn't absolutely promise and do everything that it's supposed to do for you within that time, and you don't think you got more than you spent on it, send it back. No hard feelings. But chances are you won't, because the stuff works. And when you see how good you can feel after you get a chance to drink it, you won't want to go back, you know, at least not from what I've seen. You know I know I never do. So if you're anything like me, you won't either. Okay. Thank you so much for your time. Thank you for being here. I really appreciate you sticking through to the end with me. Hopefully you learned something. Hopefully you got something out of it. And like I said, better health is totally possible. Anything that you've been given as a label or a diagnosis or a condition or a disease, chances are somebody else has beaten it. In fact, I can guarantee somebody else has beaten it. And if they have, then you can too. And if you're anything like me, you want simple, you want easy, and you want something that you can do repeatedly over and over and over again. And there's nothing that I know of that can do that better for you than drinking ionized hydrogen water. Hopefully you see what I see, and I did a good enough job of explaining everything to you. If you have any questions, comment down below, reach out to the person that then sends you this video. But ultimately, you don't know until you know. Give it a try, drink it, give it to you and your family, and you will see the actual benefit that I'm talking about here in this presentation. You'll see it in your life. You'll feel it. It'll be tangible for you. And that's when you'll understand what I'm talking about and why I can talk with so much passion and conviction about this stuff. Because it's just real and it works. And when you see that for yourself, you'll know it. All right. Have a great day, everybody. Bye.